respect it. I mean, we network across the globe, cause it's a global market in case you didn't know. And since we all about information flow, let me be the first one to welcome you to Tech Zone with Paul Amadeus Lane. Let's talk tech, cause technology changing the game. It's all good in the hood, it's everywhere. Now let's get to the show, cause we live on air, yeah.
We thank the beautiful Samara Lynn, tech editor at Black Enterprise Magazine, for joining me on the Tech Zone. Amazing event. If you're in the tech industry, you definitely want to be at the next event. They're already starting it up. And make sure you subscribe to their newsletter. Some great things happening in technology. Don't miss the boat. Don't miss out on it. Remember, always connect with me with paulonwheels.com. paulonwheels.com. When I mention AI, artificial intelligence, what comes to your mind? Is it the movie you saw decades ago? What about Sonny on iRobot? I did not kill the man. Sean, remember that part in iRobot? AI is a part of our lives now. There are some restaurants now that are purely robotic and using AI. There's a McDonald's right now in Arizona, a Mickey D's, that's fully automated. So artificial intelligence is here to stay, and they're doing a lot of things. They can fly a plane, autonomous cars, trains right now. But what about customer service? Now, some of you out there who are geeky like me, if I use the term chat bot, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's kind of something that ones in customer service use. When someone calls up and they have an issue, a chat bot will kind of come up with an answer for it. And you can tell when it's a chat bot because it's kind of robotic. But what if I were to tell you that there's artificial intelligence out there that companies are using when it comes to customer service? Now, it doesn't mean it's eliminating the customer service representative, but it's kind of enhancing the experience. Well, I'm sure you're going to enjoy this next interview. Artificial intelligence. It is here. We have reached the time in technology where we see this on a day-to-day basis. You may not even know that you're dealing with AI. And joining us right now to talk about artificial intelligence and what his company is doing from Digital Genius, we have Mikhail Naimov joining me. Mikhail, how you doing, my friend?
Doing great, Paul. Thank you. Good to be here with you.
Hey, great to have you with me. So let's talk about your company, Digital Genius, and some of the things that you guys are doing out there when it comes to artificial intelligence.
Right. So you've got this a lot of noise around AI, and the thing is, it's been around for a long time, and it's had its ups, it's had its downs, but ultimately, people say AI is the future, and it's going to transform the future of X, Y, Z, whatever industry. In reality, it's actually that future is already happening today. So you have companies, you have things out there in the world that are taking advantage of the technology that's now possible with AI because of a couple of trends that have enabled this. The biggest enablers in AI today have been the massive advances in compute power and hardware that actually now allow you to take massive amounts of data and train these mathematical algorithms to create value, to make predictions, to do all sorts of really cool things. And now you're going to see more and more technology becoming a little bit more invisible and a little bit more intelligent and making everybody's daily life a little bit easier.
And that's one thing we're seeing right now, a trend with artificial intelligence and, let's say, customer service. I never thought I would see the day when we would see something like this, but you and your company, you guys have merged or partnered with KLM. And let's talk about that and how they're using customer service and artificial intelligence.
Right. So KLM Royal Dutch Airlines is an amazing example of a company that is innovative, an airline that really cares about their customer. And one of the things they wanted to do is to be able to serve their customers in personal ways across social media channels. So I don't know if a lot of people probably know this, but KLM was the first to really make a push for customer service via social media channels. So they're the first to utilize Twitter, Facebook, Facebook Messenger, automated chatbots, and today deploying actual artificial intelligence powered by deep learning inside their contact centers to help make the whole operation a lot better and to improve the type of conversations that agents can have with customers over time. So they, as an innovator, they opened up Facebook Messenger as a communication channel. So now, whenever you have a problem or a lost bag, or you want to upgrade your flight or rebook your flight, instead of calling in like most other airlines are forcing you to do, or instead of using a mobile app, which sometimes can get a little bit difficult with downloading and installing and all that, they just let you go straight to Facebook Messenger, take out your phone, and send a message to KLM just like you were messaging a friend. And that's extraordinary. So for a company to be able to do that and then support it on the back end is actually not so easy. And so they started looking at it, and they saw that when they launched Messenger, when they opened up Messenger as a channel for communication, they got a huge volume spike of customers that want to talk to them about different things, whether it's a problem or a compliment or something that they're, want to share on social. They pretty much had to figure out, how are we going to support all of this volume spike? And they decided to look ahead of the curve, because you can only hire so many more people before it starts getting away from you.
That's true.
And so what they did is they said, look, why don't we actually invest in technology that can make our existing agents, our existing people working in our contact centers, a lot more efficient, a lot more progressive, and help them evolve into sort of like the next generation of customer service over social. So they did a partnership with Digital Genius, our company, whereby we had trained on all of their historical customer service logs. We had ingested them into what's known as a deep learning algorithm, which we could talk about a bit more later. And the outcome was a mathematical model that is integrated directly into the agent's home screen, which they're using to conduct their customer service duties every single day. And whenever a new message or a new question comes in via social channel, they see the question, but they also see what the machine thinks is the best answer for this question in real time. Now, it may sound simple, but it's actually a really important and a big deal, because when you're an agent and you're answering similar question, dozens, if not 100 times a day, you happen to use a lot of things like searching, copying, pasting. Now, the idea is the machine should be able to predict what the best ways of accurately and efficiently answering those questions. So by doing that and putting that answer as a suggestion in front of an agent, together with a confidence rating of how certain the machine is of this answer being correct, you're giving the agent an opportunity to save a lot of time and actually start making decisions instead of copy pasting strings of text. And so this is really powerful when done at scale. So now at KLM, they have over 230 agents using this technology every single day. And it's a very exciting partnership. They're an early adopter of this technology, and I think we're going to see a lot of other companies following that trend.
And we actually have a video right here. Mikhail, we'll have you kind of narrate it, and you can let us know what we're seeing in this video right here.
Sure. So this is one of KLM's contact centers in Amsterdam, where they're using some of the most innovative technology to help customers answer their questions. They're using a product called Salesforce Service Cloud, and they have artificial intelligence powered by Digital Genius. So they have over 200 agents that are supporting customers in 12 different languages. They're getting 100,000 mentions a week of different people that need help. So what we've done, we've ingested their historical logs, and what you see in front of you is the conversion of the language logs into these mathematical representations of language called word vectors. And it's these word vectors that make up the statistical model that is then plugged directly into the agent's screen. And what you see there is when a question comes in, the AI is actually predicting with a level of confidence what the best answer should be, and the agent can just use it as is. But for the most part, they actually get to personalize it. So over time, every time an agent takes an action, the system learns and gets a little bit smarter over time, delivering better predictions faster. The whole idea is to combine the best of human and machine intelligence to provide amazing personalized customer service.
And, it also seems to make sure that the workflow works a little bit more easier too, and I was looking at a screenshot too where it had like a customer kind of getting aggravated because maybe their flight is late, but then the AI kind of predicts what to say, because there's nothing wrong. There's nothing worse than getting the wrong response from a customer service person when you're having a bad day. And it seems like the AI kind of helps keep the drama down a little bit, Mikhail.
Well, look, many people are people, right? So anybody can have a bad day, whether you're a customer looking for help or if you're an agent coming into the contact center. So the idea of using machine learning to actually help those agents is trying to solve both problems. It's trying to help the customer get the correct answer much faster so they don't have to wait. I mean, you look at everyday life, the problems we might have is, hey, I missed my flight. I need to rebook urgently, or I lost my bag and I need to get it back before I leave the airport, not in 24 hours when my message is received from some message queue and the agents finally get to it. That's why KLM is so innovative. You know, they're opening up new channels like Messenger, and they're allowing people to communicate them in real time like they would be talking to a friend. And then on the back end, they're supporting this with machine learning and deep learning, which is enabling their agents with essentially the most modern tool set they need to provide quality and efficient customer service.
And we're noticing that most of the tech giants are now jumping on the AI bandwagon. Is it too late for them in the game, or did they get on right before the ship left the dock?
I think there's a lot of noise in the industry. There's a lot of exciting announcements from big players about artificial intelligence, and I think it's the right thing to do, because what the big guys have that, you know, smaller companies don't is scale. And if these folks can actually find a way to incentivize enough, you know, experienced artificial intelligence talent to join their team, or maybe to acquire some of these smaller companies, they actually have a chance of distributing this technology at scale. Now, how far away that is, no one really knows. What we know is that, you know, we have our system already in production with a number of large customers, including KLM Airlines, which just released this publicly through a number of media channels last week. And we're seeing the early traction and the feedback. And so what I'm really excited about is the seamless connection of the human agent with the machine working together, not replacing one another, but actually supporting one another to create an evolution in the customer service industry as a whole. So if you think about how that space has grown over time, you have agents doing a lot of repetitive tasks and getting paid to do lots of repetitive manual labor, where really they should be doing human level intelligence tasks. So instead of copy pasting, they should be thinking, they should be making decisions, they should be helping create more value for both the company and the customer.
Well said, well said. We have a little screenshot right here, and we kind of talked about this off camera. Now, for ones looking at this, and you who are listening on the radio, you'll be able to check this out on the video podcast. But we see the words, "Can you rebook my flight?" But then we see some values over in kind of brackets. What does that mean over there, Mikhail?
Right. So what you're looking at right now is an incoming query. Somebody wants to know, can you rebook my flight? And what our machine is doing is breaking down that query into these mathematical representations of language called word vectors. And it's these values, these decimal points and arrays that represent statistical language, essentially converting all the language logs into math. And this is what makes up the model that is then capable of making predictions whenever new messages come in. It's a really exciting space, and there's some distinct advantages. Because when you look at the world of chatbots and how that's evolved, I know it's been really exciting and in the news as of this whole year. The thing with chatbots is if they are built based on standard traditional natural language processing techniques, you are looking at things like keywords and key phrases and synonyms. And that's a very limiting approach, and it doesn't scale very well if you're building a product that you want to put out there into the world. In other words, you can have a cool chatbot that tells you the weather, but that chatbot has been pre-programmed only to do that one thing. And the moment you deviate from that script that some linguist or some programmer used to make that chatbot, it's going to fail. So it'll tell you the weather, but it won't tell you the time, for example. Now, when you're using deep learning and word vectors, you're actually not even looking at the keywords as such. You're converting the actual language logs, the historical conversations that already happen in real life, because that's representative of how people actually talk and how human agents actually answer, instead of having an engineer or a linguist in a room trying to guess what are all the ways somebody can ask you about the time. You actually have the real data. And by converting that data to math, you're solving two problems. You're allowing a computer to understand questions regardless of how they're phrased. So not counting on keywords, not counting on phrases. And the second thing you're doing is you are abstracting the idea of language altogether and because we don't want to discriminate based on language. Just because KLM Airlines has deployed this in English, they've also deployed it in Dutch. And it doesn't have to be a big, hard problem to convert it from English to Dutch. And what you do with deep learning, you can do any language you want as long as you have the data sets in those languages.
And that's where we get artificial intelligence and how it's a much better innovation than chatbots like we were talking about. So when we look at the learning capabilities of the AI, does someone need to program it, or does it automatically just learns on the fly the way it was programmed in the beginning?
Yeah, so we wanted to really make AI as accessible as possible for customers and our users. So instead of having engineers go through this 6-month exercise of trying to customize the AI model, we actually made a very simple one-page interface that allows anyone to have practical deep learning inside their contact center just by completing 4 easy steps. And those steps are to identify what types of cases you want this AI to run predictions on. So maybe you want to predict things that are coming in via email, but you don't want to run predictions on things that are coming in via social. That's step 1. You choose sort of like a filter of all the cases you get, which ones get AI predictions. The second one is you identify the historical data set from which you want to train your model. So if you're a contact center supervisor, let's say you want to train on the last 6 months of data. So you simply select the date range on the data that you want to train. And then the last 2 steps are very simple. It's the inputs and the outputs. The inputs are the fields that you want the AI to read and analyze in order to make its predictions. So if we're running this on a bunch of emails, the only fields we really want to read are the subject line, because if somebody's angry, they might be putting, lots of things in the subject line that can tell us what their problem is. And the second thing is the body of the email. So we're going to be looking at the body description, and that's as an input. And then the final step is the output. And the output is the things you actually want to predict. And in customer service world, you're looking at predicting a number of things. For example, you can predict all of the drop-down menus, all of the metadata, all of the different categories and classes that you need to do routing and analytics to understand what these questions are about in the first place. And the second thing you can predict is the actual answers to those questions. And we achieve that by training on massive amounts of historical customer service logs.
Which businesses or industries is AI tailored for? Because we have a lot of listeners in different various businesses out there. Which businesses should really, really employ AI?
Yeah, I think it's companies that have 2 things. One is they have an abundance of historical records. That is either customer service chat logs, email transcripts, or case details. If they have been saving and storing those, they're essentially sitting on valuable data that can be used to train an algorithm that can create business value down the line. So companies that have this abundance of historical customer service data saved. And the second one is industries which are prone to a lot of repetitive customer service questioning activity. So things like airlines, telcos, even CPG companies are really good examples where this could work. So lots of data and lots of customers who need help.
And what I like about your company, too, I was doing some research on it, is the ease of access. And that can't be stressed, a lot. That needs to be stressed even more, because I think some of the drawback with ones when it comes to AI, they think, okay, it's going to take me a lot of time to do this. I'm going to have to hire somebody to babysit this. And it's good that your company has taken that and said, okay, no, it's an ease and access the way our innovation is. And that's really testament to the fact that you guys really want to help customers out, not customers, but the customer experience and the organizations out there to succeed. And that's very commendable.
Thank you for that. That's one of the things that I think helped us in our route to market, because AI has gotten this reputation of this exciting, amazing thing, but it's also very complex and very scary for big brands to implement, because they think it's either expensive, complicated, or they want to wait a few years until it becomes commoditized and start using it when it's been proven out over a number of years. But what's missing there is the idea that you can actually use it today in a very accessible manner, and you can achieve outcomes that will help drive your business forward. So this is like one of those things where it makes sense to use it if it's accessible, and that's what we're trying to do. So as easy as possible to implement, and effective, and most importantly, measurable.
And is there anything else with the company that we failed to articulate during our discussion right now that you really want to get out there? Did we pretty much basically cover everything you wanted to cover?
Well, I think really the story that we've actually lived through this building this AI company is actually pretty interesting because we started out 3 years ago building the original chatbots for companies like BMW, Unilever, Panasonic, and others. And what we learned in that process is that the chatbot approach doesn't really scale, nor can it ever be solving a customer service issue end to end. So customer service is such a sensitive area where customers really need help, and some of the things they're asking for are much more difficult than what a chatbot that's been pre-programmed can handle. So we learned that in the first year of our company while we were still bootstrapping, and about a year and a half, we shifted completely to the world of machine learning and deep learning, which is a much more scalable approach. It's much more sophisticated and elegant from the standpoint of technology. And I think we're now in a place where it's actually usable and people can achieve real results. So we've had this path about starting out to build chatbots before chatbots were cool, taking a lot of learnings from integrating those bots inside enterprise companies, and then transitioning the technology stack into deep learning, and then building a product that can actually be deployed today.
Awesome. What made you get into technology? Because as I talk to you, you're very passionate about this. Were you always into tech growing up, or was it something that when you started to get a little older, you said that's an industry I want to really tackle?
Yeah. Well, look, I was born in Russia. I moved to the United States when I was 9 years old. So I have this like both the entrepreneurial spirit that was cultivated in me as a kid growing up in Russia in the early 1990s. And if you remember history, there were some major changes going on in the country at the time. And, you know, you were going into a place where suddenly entrepreneurship was illegal 25 years ago, and suddenly it was all of a sudden legal and people were doing it. So this spirit was in the air, and as a kid I was surrounded by it and really interested in it. And then when I had the chance to move to the United States, it was like my opportunity, and so I started getting interested in technology, businesses, particularly about how to bring emerging technology to life. So how do you take these complicated research papers, how do you take these wonderful advancements in science, and how do you make them practical for businesses to use every single day? And I think that's what we've done with Digital Genius, and the road ahead is definitely a long one, but we're excited to see what's to come.
Well said. How can our viewers and listeners find out more information about Digital Genius in case they have customer service needs and you guys can fit right into their warehouse? How can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Our website, digitalgenius.com, and my direct email is my first name at Digital Genius. We have a great team working in 2 offices in San Francisco and London. So if anybody's even in the Bay Area or Europe, we can have a chat face to face. It's really cool to see the advances of AI becoming really practical and useful today. So we're really excited about that.
Mikhail, it's been great talking to you, my friend. I really love your stance on the green environment. I've been checking out some of the YouTubes you talked about, so I'm really down with your green initiatives and everything. So keep up the good work, and we look forward to hearing more about Digital Genius going forward. And we'd love to have you back next year, and we'll see how things are going for you guys.
Awesome. Thanks for having us, Paul. Take care.